Hello and welcome to my first video for some time. So today I'm going to take a look at Jack and the Beanstalk. First I'm going to give a shout out to a former colleague of mine, John Farr. I know he's subscribed to my YouTube channel, so hopefully he's watching this. So usually what I do with my walkthroughs is I'll talk a bit about the game and the gameplay as the video runs, but Jack and the Beanstalk walkthrough's so short, I'm going to talk about the game for the first run through of the game and then show it again and talk about the gameplay in the second. Jack and the Beanstalk was released in 1984 by Thor Computer Software, who later I think went on to become Odin, possibly because they lost an eye or something for wisdom. On SpectrumComputing.com, the authors are credited as Chris and Steve Kerry, and also Frankie Carney contributed. The original price was £5.95, which was pretty standard for the time. Now I didn't know this when I recorded my video for this game, but apparently it's Kura Microspeech support. Having said that, reading the crash review of this game, apparently the Kura Microspeech support is indecipherable, so maybe it's just as well I didn't record with Kura Microspeech on. This was first in a trilogy of games, followed up by Giant's Revenge and then The House That Jack Built. And I think at some point Paul and I played this for the Spectrum Show Patreons, this Giant's Revenge and The House That Jack Built. From memory, Giant's Revenge is very similar to Jack and the Beanstalk, whereas The House That Jack Built is almost completely different. This game people seem to have a love-hate relationship with. Everyone credits the graphics as being really lovely and colourful, whereas the gameplay is absolutely awful. So let's get into that gameplay. Going back to that crash review, the reviewers really seem to have struggled with the gameplay of this game. The way the game works is you need to negotiate each screen in a pre-prescribed path. Any deviation from that path and you lose a life. Each screen also has a number of baddies which you need to avoid. But because you've got a pre-prescribed path, that means you don't have much room to be able to avoid them. Memory and timing are key to this game. When practicing for this walkthrough, I played each level again and again and again till I pretty much had them completely memorised. So this first screen is quite simple. Simply get the axe at the bottom of the screen, avoiding the spider, go up the beanstalk, you've got to do a little shimmy in the middle to keep on the right path and make sure you avoid those birds. Now in this second screen the difficulty really ramps up because it's not obvious where you need to go. You have to navigate up the bricks by taking a certain path up the side of some of the bricks. When you get to the top of the screen you simply collect the bag of money, jump over the gaps in the bricks, and it's on to the third screen. In this screen there's a really good hint to where you can go, given by the brickwork on the fireplace. Essentially you need to go up the left hand side, navigate past that baddie at the top, I shoot him, then jump over and collect the golden goose. Down that little rope, avoiding that spider baddie on the right can be a bit of a pain. You've got to time it just right, which is why you'll see me wait. And then it's to the bottom of the screen and on to the next screen. It took me ages to work out the route in this screen, and this is the only screen in the entire game where I die as well. You need to go up the giant's leg, kind of along his lap, then up where his hands cross, along his arm, up to his shoulder, jump onto the table, then go down the table avoiding that spider and get the heart. When you do that, the giant will realise someone's in his room and open his eyes. You have to be really quick in this screen, so it's straight down the beanstalk and straight along the bottom to get the axe. Then you need to run back along the bottom to the beanstalk to chop it down. The reason you need to be so fast is if you're not, the giant will come down the beanstalk and that's game over, all lives lost. If you do it successfully, the giant will plummet to his death and end up with the beanstalk, landing plumb on top of him. And when you completed the game, you're rewarded with that nice little ditty again and a well done screen. So that's Jack and the Beanstalk. It is one of the hardest games I've ever completed. It was really difficult, needed lots of practice. But until next time, happy gaming!